Welcome back to my channel, guys. I'm Joel Kellen, and I just got back from seeing Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins. Now, first and foremost, I'm going to say that I'm going to be talking about spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want the movie spoiled for yourself, don't watch this video until you do. All good? Okay, let's get into this. First of all, this film is a pretty solid action film. There are some great fight scenes, although the camera shakes a lot, especially during the first few fight scenes at the beginning of the film. The whole film revolves around Snake Eyes watching his father die as a boy, and for the next several years he becomes a drifter, fighting for money, joining the Yakuza and smuggling weapons until he saves this one double agent who was working against the Yakuza, who turns out to be the man who eventually becomes Storm Shadow. But he saves Storm Shadow, who goes by the name Tommy in this film, and Tommy takes Snake Eyes to join him with the Ninja Clan in Japan. And throughout that film, he's given 3 tests to prove his worth, to see if he's worthy of becoming part of the Ninja Clan that Storm Shadow is a part of. There are hints to the larger G.I. Joe world. At some point during these 3 tests, Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow have to track down the Yakuza boss that they encounter at the very beginning of the film, and it's slowly revealed that he's working with Cobra to take down the Ninja Clan. And with Cobra comes the old fan favorite characters like the Baroness. She shows up, and they actually get Snake Eyes to help them with acquiring this stone called the Jewel of the Sun, which was shown in the trailers. It's this mystical artifact that I was never that big of a G.I. Joe fan. I do remember watching this CG animated film called Valor vs. Venom. So I don't remember if there was anything mystical or magical that was in the original G.I. Joe cartoons or toy line, but I thought that it was alright that they used this mystical artifact where, when it was used, it was basically like an Infinity Stone from the Avengers films, the Power Stone to be exact. And because of the inclusion of Cobra in this film, we also have the character of Scarlet, who I thought was portrayed very well by Samara Weaving. I remember her mostly from horror films such as The Babysitter, Ready or Not. She even had a cameo appearance in the first season of Ash vs. Evil Dead. So it's nice that she's expanding her horizons. Henry Golding as Snake Eyes, he portrays the character well, although I am going to say this is not Snake Eyes. And I get this is an origin story, so the origin story is most likely not going to be the character that we first know, and he gradually becomes the character that we all know and love from the G.I. Joe series. I went into this film thinking that it was going to be basically the X-Men Origins Wolverine of the G.I. Joe franchise, and sad to say, I was both right and I was also wrong. Now, I was right because, like I said, this is not Snake Eyes. The 2 things about Snake Eyes is that he doesn't speak and he doesn't show his face. And I was thinking that at some point, maybe around the halfway mark, Snake Eyes would start wearing that mask that he's known to wear in the G.I. Joe franchise, and he would also just completely stop speaking. Whether that would be like from the comics, where he loses his voice from some type of accident, or whether he takes a vow of silence like in the original G.I. Joe movies, the one that starred Channing Tatum and had Ray Park playing as the character. The point is, he doesn't speak. And, well, the movie failed on both of those fronts, where where he shows his face all the time until the final 10 seconds, and he's constantly speaking, and not once in the film does he decide, like, you know what, I'm gonna stop talking. Like that scene in the trailer where he dons the iconic mask over his face, that's how the film ends. He doesn't start wearing that mask until the final 10 seconds of the film. And I guess the filmmakers knew that if they didn't show the mask at some point in the trailer, people wouldn't go and see the movie, which is a shame, because they just spoiled their entire ending. And not once does he take that vow of silence, or not once is there a scene where like his vocal cords or throat get damaged that renders him mute. Unless they end up making a sequel where Snake Eyes decides to become completely mute. Well, again, this is not Snake Eyes. They did build up that rivalry between him and Storm Shadow pretty well, and it kind of tied back to the whole plot point of Snake Eyes watching his father die. And unfortunately, that is a little bit predictable. The minute that the people showed up to kill Snake Eyes' father, I called it from the start that the man who killed him was going to be connected to Cobra. Now, I did take a leap and guess that the man who killed him was Destro based on the coat that he was wearing, but I was a little bit surprised when it wasn't, and it was just one of those unnamed lower-level grunts who killed him. I called it from the very beginning that Snake Eyes' father was going to be killed by Cobra, and he didn't find out until he actually confronted the killer. It was also predictable that the Yakuza were joining forces with Cobra, that the Baroness was going to get betrayed by the Yakuza boss, who I don't even remember that guy's name, unfortunately, which makes him basically one of those forgettable MCU villains. Like, you could separate this from G.I. Joe completely, and it wouldn't really take away from the movie. Like, you could have taken away Cobra, you could have taken away the Baroness, you probably could have taken out Scarlet as well, and not much of the movie would have changed, in my opinion at least. And I guess that leads into another point that I was going to get to, that it feels like two different films. Like the first, they could have separated it into two parts. Like the first part would have been completely about Snake Eyes and joining this clan, being told about the Jewel of the Sun, that Infinity Stone, and they could have had the Yakuza just show up without Cobra, take out the clan, and take the Jewel. Like whether having Snake Eyes' help with the promise of being able to confront his killer. They really could have separated this whole thing into two parts, where the first part is just him training with the clan and all that, and then the second part would have been more in line with dealing with Cobra, Storm Shadow's rivalry with Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow eventually joining Cobra because of what Snake Eyes does in the film. And that's where they could have just brought in Scarlet and the Baroness. They could have even stretched it out to include like the rest of the Joes, such as like Ripcord, Roadblock, Duke, and that would have served well as the sequel. And going off of what I was saying about Snake Eyes not being Snake Eyes, like even in the ending fight, they could have easily done the comic book origin, where Snake Eyes is rendered mute through an accident, and he never shows his face. Like they could have easily had it where during that final battle, they could have had the bad guy using the Jewel of the Sun, that Infinity Stone that was shown in the trailers, and he could have easily used it on Snake Eyes, but only for a second before he is before he's blindsided or distracted by somebody else. And because even though it was only used for a second, Snake Eyes could have been like badly burned on his face, and because of the scarring, it would have also affected his voice, that would have rendered him mute. They could have easily done that, but they didn't. Instead, so far, he doesn't cover up his face until the final scene of the film, and he still talks. Unless if they decide to do a complete 180 in a sequel and just have him not talk at all. All in all, it was a pretty solid action flick when the camera wasn't shaking. The characters were okay. They at least got Scarlet down from what I could see. They just didn't nail Snake Eyes. So if you're a fan of action films, if you like the original G.I. Joe movies, the ones that starred Channing Tatum and Ray Park, you'll probably like this film. If you're a hardcore fan of G.I. Joe and Snake Eyes is your favorite character, then most likely you won't like this movie and you'd be better off skipping it, because, as I've said before, this is not Snake Eyes. Unless they do something in a sequel to completely rectify it, like give him his actual origin from the show and the comics, where he is forcibly rendered mute by an accident that scars his face. I don't see this character becoming Snake Eyes. But that's it for me. If you did see the film, what were your thoughts on it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know down in the comments. And until the next blockbuster movie comes out, I will catch you guys on the flip side.